it will be around how we can maintain a database up and running without interruption. And you know, the database is the backbone for any solution. If the database stopped, all the solutions will stop. Therefore, maintaining the performance and maintaining the availability of the database is very crucial. It's kind of a maintenance or preventive maintenance to keep the system up and running. And Bradmark is one of those solutions that can ensure the availability of the database. We can monitor it on 24/7 to ensure the performance. That the performance will work as expected and continue serving the customer, the end users. In fact, your end user customers. First, to see the difference between Bradmark and the SAP is in fact, is a company specialized in data management and data analytics since more than 26 years operating in the region. We have 8 offices. We cover the Middle East, Turkey, and Central Europe. And we have been a partner with Bradmark for more than 15 years. And so far, we have more than 30 active customers, Bradmark customers in the region. We need to highlight that Bradmark started as a bundled with Sybase databases at that time, but Bradmark has extended their portfolio to cover something other than Sybase or SAP, to cover multiple databases. This is the reason of we as MDSAP partner with them, because of the features and the functionality of Bradmark and their presence in the region. Besides, the Bradmark was always an important component in our offering. As you can see, MDSAP is present in multiple areas, and the most important area is database and data management. And the database performance and monitoring was always an important component that we are delivering to our customer base. This is why all our consultants are trained and they can implement solutions around Bradmark to ensure the best performance that can be expected from your database, to ensure your investment will have the best return on it. So this is the database and data management division that it was inherited since Sybase time. As most of you know, that MDSAP is the successor of Sybase products Middle East that started 26 years ago in the Middle East. And since 6-7 years ago, the name has been changed to MDSAP. And since for more than 15 years, we are working with Bradmark on maintaining this database monitoring and tuning. About Bradmark is a company that launched 30 years ago by 2 consultants that they started the product as a tool, and the tool has been fully integrated with Sybase databases at that time, but has been split to become a solution on itself. And of course, it went through multiple changes and multiple enhancements over the year. So it is a mature product. It is not something that has been launched a few years ago. It has 30 years. It has thousands of customers worldwide. It is present in the Fortune 100, around 70% penetration of users. Of the users are available from small, mid, and large enterprises. So it's a solution that can complement your needs, and it can complement your existing investment in case the customer has already invested in similar global enterprise solutions. Bradmark can sit next to them and can feed those enterprises. So this, since 2005, the strategic partnership started with Sybase and SAP later on. And this is where we started our relationship with Bradmark since that time. Their regional office for EMEA is based in UK, with offices in China, Germany, and USA. By the way, SAP is, or Sybase at that time, was one of the largest reseller of Bradmark as bundled solution into their offering whenever they offer database. And if the customer wanted any extension or any monitoring tool, it was proposed also, they proposed also Bradmark as an option. This showed the maturity and the trust in this product. As a brief on the solution, it's a complete database monitoring tool and management tool. Management, it has basic management, but it's focusing on the monitoring. It will support all SAP product database platform from ASE, IQ, HANA, and even SQL Anywhere, Replication Server as well. Also, it supports all Oracle's versions, Microsoft SQL Server, Postgre, and other versions. And the most important, it can monitor them simultaneously. Means from one login, from one the administrator or one the monitoring DBA can connect, and he can see all the instances. It could be 10, 50, 100 instances of database instances running. The user can create its own dashboard to monitor the most critical databases, but also they can see all databases. It doesn't matter if he's monitoring Oracle or IQ or even HANA. By the way, HANA, it is very important component for HANA, which is gaining market share very fast for the last 3 years from SAP. And it complements what SAP is unable to provide you as part of their monitoring tools through Cockpit. So this is a complementary solution on the top of HANA. And the most important, it can show all the aspects or the KPIs that you want to monitor them from one single view. One important point is whenever an issue will happen to your database performance, bottleneck, or anything, the most important is to search for the root cause. And Bradmark Surveillance is one of the best tool or solution that will help you to dig inside the problem and fetch it and find the root cause of the problem. Because most of the time when we feel, when we meet a problem in the database, we resolve it and we walk away and we will continue our business. We don't have time to dig inside the root cause to avoid this problem being repeated again. So with Bradmark, this is one of the best solutions that Bradmark can help us in searching for the root cause that generated the incident and the problem and fix it. And this is one of the best approach, which is preventive maintenance, not to be repeated again. So this is my quick introduction, and I have on the other part of the panel is Cohen, our lead consultant from Bradmark. He was working with us for more than 10 or 15 years, even the same phase. He knows the region. He came to the region multiple times, and he did even implementation and installation for many of the installation or many of the customers we have in the region. Cohen, I can give you the lead so you can continue from here.
If you stop sharing your screen, I can share my screen, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now I can share my screen. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. The correct slide, right? Okay, cool. Okay, Yves, thank you very much for your introduction. I'm really proud to join this session today as Bradmark, and having MDS as such a powerful partner in the Middle East to work with our solution and provide our solution to the customers. Okay, I will actually extend on what Yves basically said. The goal for me at the moment in this particular session is, first of all, for people who have no knowledge around the product or what it actually does, give them a quick introduction into that. So a few of the slides are related to that. And I have also quite a need to actually tell existing customers and existing team on the enhancement we did so far. So it's a two-split webinar where I try to do a quick introduction of the product and to give you an upshot on what has been updated. Of course, as always, I tend to love to do demos live, so I will show you those things live as well. Okay, so I'll walk through the slides. So, as Yves pointed out, our strength is definitely on the monitoring part. Okay, so if you look to surveillance itself, it's there to do web monitoring of on-premise or cloud database containers, and give you basically everything we can retrieve on information back. Okay, to do that, basically, we try to give you a single interface to actually see that all at once. Okay, and it's not stopping at AEC or SAP products. It just goes ahead further than that. Okay, it's not only showing you the metrics, but also keeping history. Now, that is something where if you want to see the difference between us and other solutions, we tend to keep way more data than other people would love to keep in their solutions. Okay, we don't bound you to keep the data. So keeping historical metrics is very crucial to do forensic analysis, to basically go back and digest what had happened to your database and why certain things did happen. Okay, so that is a part where we not even store or collect the data, but we also provide you basically, based on your own choice, how long you want to keep the data and want to use the data. We do provide reports for compliance out of the box. Okay, goes by helping you figure out what SQL hits you, which bad logs in, and that kind of stuff comes out of the box. Okay, some example for, of course, if it's basically prevented by the database provider itself. But for AEC, for example, if you want to do auditing or compliance auditing on security, we provide that out of the box for you so that you can watch that in real life. Okay, and also in history. Something which I cannot point this out to more than that. It's we provide really unique metrics for in-depth analysis. Okay, where others are stopping with the basic metrics or just the basic things which you want to see, we go definitely in depth. And this is crucial for you if you start monitoring. You may think with most of the solutions, you get some monitoring information, you get some data information back. But if you really want to do forensic analysis, you need more information. And that is where we are really unique. Okay, we provide you that deepness into those databases. Next point. Okay, what are notable features? Okay, we're not only monitoring, we do time slicing. So what you can basically do is basically what kind of SQL hit me between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock yesterday, or what is my top SQL. We provide this for all our modules. Okay, so time slicing is definitely part of the things we're providing out of the box. Okay, that's time slicing. We do flashback. Flashback means that you, instead of, so you can watch your screen, you can watch your real-time view and say, okay, how did that look a few minutes ago, okay, or an hour ago? So you can hit a flashback in our solution, and you actually see the same view, but now an hour ago or 2 hours ago. And we also provide you, if you wish, web reporting and out-of-the-box auditing reporting as well. Okay, I will touch all those items in the real-life demo as well. Okay, something which is crucial for banking and finance is basically security compliance. Okay, you are connecting to your databases, you are running as a tool within the environment, and something which banks really require is have secured way of transferring the data and going with the data. Surveillance definitely, and Bradmark is very focused on that. Okay, to deliver a way better security compliance with TLS, okay, to make sure whatever we transfer, whatever we capture on data and show on data is basically very well encrypted and just there only for our eyes, so to speak. Okay, we are we did several kind of proofs to different kind of organizations to match into the security requirements of security teams, and we really passed all those tests. Okay, so that is something which I think is very good to know, that we are always compliant to those kind of things. Some other things within the product, we of course also have a lot of dashboards. As Yves mentioned, we can set up a full event management and incident management system to actually alert you if something is happening. Now, there is it's there in the product, and sometimes, as Yves pointed out as well, you have on high level a tool like CA or HP OpenView or other kind of tools which provide you the upshot of everything which is happening. Okay, so you may not have a need for incidents for an incident dashboard. However, we can integrate and we can help you to set that one up as well. Okay. Briefly on the architecture, surveillance is a server-centric product. Okay, it's basically a product which you install on your server of your database, and you just install it, you configure it, and it will run as long as the server is up. Okay. Briefly on the agent itself, the agent itself has basically two type of agents. We have service-related agents and we have collector-related agents. Okay, collector-related agents is really depending on your environment. So if you want to collect anything on OS or any SAP related, any IQ related, any SQL Server related, or HANA or whatever, you need a collector agent basically running, connecting to that particular database to actually get the information. Once collected, we can use our analyzer and alerter to actually help you to set up event management and use our repository agent to collect the data for historical purpose. If you want to consume the data, we have basically two clients. We have still a Windows client, which we strongly use for configuration mainly. Okay, it's basically to administrate our product itself. And we use a web browser, which can connect with any web browser. So it's not only Chrome or whatever. So you can use any kind of browser to connect to our web services and then to the server to consume the data. What is unique to surveillance is that we're keeping all historical data first locally to our server. Why is that unique? Because most of the other tools are collecting the information and depending on a database to actually keep that data. If they are losing that data, or they are not able to capture, or they're not able to connect, they will lose some data. Surveillance will never stop collecting as long as the agent is running. Okay. That is a very crucial part of the whole installation, to keep it locally first. And of course, you can decide to either use the data, the local data stores, or to transport the information to a centralized repository where you can just run your reports against. That's about the architecture. By the way, all the questions you can put into the chat cases, and if you have questions at the end of the sessions, we will answer those questions to you. Okay. Now, you can, as I mentioned, it's a server-centric product. However, you can set up the product in a way that is completely centralized. So you can basically set up an environment where you have a single server monitoring many surveillance installations on the site. If you're running in the small organizations, you will have probably one server running. We have customers with over thousands installations. Okay. And then all of a sudden, centralizing the things is way better. Okay, so you have a single server which basically correlates all the information from all the other servers. So you can use it as a single, but also as a multiple server setup if you wish. That's the way you set it up. As mentioned, just to repeat this, we are a heterogeneous monitoring solution for HANA, for AZ, Replication Server, IQ, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, PostgreSQL, NoSQL databases like MONGO and Neo4j, IBM DB2, and of course, nevertheless, we also collect information on OS. Okay, so those are the platforms we are supporting. And if you have anything which is not supported, let us know. Okay, because we are quite well, the infrastructure allows it really to include new platforms rather quickly. That's the way we structure the product. This is the part for the people who never have seen the product so far. I'd like to go now more into details what has been changed since. So this is more for the existing customers and for the consultants itself. Let me go by the changes. Okay. Of course, you will get a copy of the PowerPoints afterwards. So I'll go to the points. If you have questions, we can answer later. If you have more in detail questions or you want to see them later on, let us know. Okay. First of all, this year, of course, we switched to HTML5 clients, which is available not only for the 5X versions, which was previously announced, but also for 4.7. Okay, so all the existing customer can use from all the benefits of the HTML client in 4.7.3. That's the version where it starts. Recently, we added support for Ldap, LS. Okay, that is Ldap over SSL. Seems to be an issue which is growing over the last month quite rapidly. And it's a requirement for us to authenticate the logins you're using for surveillance to match with our product. Okay, we have proven support for SAP HANA Cloud AECs on permissions and roles. Same for IQ and for Replication Server. Goes for the other databases as well. Okay, we did alerter changes. Remember, the alerter at the moment is either sending emails or you can use the dashboard, but we never really had something to actually well, from that you can spot them right on the view itself. So actually, we changed a lot of things in the alerter to support more entity alert and incident alerts, and you will see it later on in the demo. It actually shows you what's happening on the environment. Okay, we do support MONGO and EVG collector agents since 2020. I will show you that as well. It's in the version 5x. Okay, so I will show you both versions, how they are lookalike. Okay, we provide, of course, as Yves mentioned, PostgreSQL and Informings. We have agents there since 2018, all available depending on your needs. Okay, to match new things, we actually increased the number of factory rules and stores. We did change dramatically some stores on the backside. So we actually we did add more rules and more stores for all the modules to matching basically new things we're adding. Okay. As mentioned before, security standards, TLS. So starting 5x, TLS is a default. Okay, you cannot use surveillance anymore without using TLS. It's completely based on that. Okay. We extended the audit capabilities and the recent history for that. We added Sla reporting, giving you entity down, so to speak, so server down or entity down, depending on your needs, so that you can report to your management. And we did a lot of internal fixes to agents, web clients, and to the surveillance tooling on the backside. That is on the generic side. Okay. If I go to the HTML client itself, we started with quite a basic one. At the moment, we did enhance basically well, a lot of stuff to make it look nicer, to be more flexible in the product itself. So we added sticky columns, which means basically, I will show you that later in real life, that you can just freeze certain columns in the grids. And when you scroll right, you actually still have the same information from the left. So you can choose whatever you like to do for that. Within the current version, we provide you column position switching. You can resize the column to get a better view on that. We did a lot of internal optimizations to the graphs. We basically started putting icons on all the views. What is completely new is the navigation by server or by entity. Why is that so important? It may be not so important for you if you have a single entity or you have basically maybe a single server even, okay? But if you're running hundreds of servers or hundreds of entities, all of a sudden this gets important, okay? We provide, of course, search filter for navigation on the entity and server trees, where you can just go by, you know, part of the name or part of whatever you like to figure out to navigate directly to the server. Again, this is all done to get you quicker to the information you want to see, okay? We support, of course, within the search, if the server has dashes or underscores or whatever in the name, it's basically flexible in that and will just give you the information back as is to get your search, okay? We have new incident badges on the entity and on the alert tab. I will show you that, which means basically you can directly see what is happening on a particular database or what is the status of your current alert tab. We start adding more replication views. We did this for AAC, of course. We have this for MongoDB. We will have one for Microsoft SQL Server and those kind of things. I will show you those things later as well to get you a better view on replicated information of a particular database. We adjusted connection and current statement views by adding more tabs to filter out your information. Again, to get you quickly to the point which you are after. Time slicing items are enhanced. We are using more aggregated data to speed up the information to get you information. That's done on the HTML as well. We did already with the Flash client, but we also do this now for the HTML one, meaning that we can use bookmarks for particular windows. Bookmarks are quite handy to just take a particular view, or if you are using a customized view, so MDS, or we can actually create a customized view for you completely. And then you can use the URL directly to that view, only log in, and that's it. We try to get more information to you if something goes wrong. So if a page isn't found or something is wrong, we actually give you more valid information back why certain things are not happening. Also, a very nice feature which we're adding, we try to get you an action bar to the code area. So for the SQL environment. So instead of getting you raw SQL information, we're actually trying to modelize that and give you a better view with colored code and those kind of things into the statements, which basically means you can use that way more as you are used to. Okay, that is there for all the modules. However, it also depends per environment if it's given there, if you can actually do that, yes or no. Okay, but as I said, we have syntax highlighting in the code area. We do pretty print JSON in the code area. And what we're also doing is now at the moment, if you do an action in surveillance, you have a kind of a snack bar option, which indicates that you did something. That's on the HTML. There are quite a lot of things happening over there. We are dramatically, well, it's basically changing daily what we add on functionality at the moment. But this is in a nutshell, basically what we did over the last month, actually, okay, adding more functionality. On the other side, down to the product, because of Ldap, we actually enhanced our tooling modules for NSM Ldap, which is a testing program to see actually how your connection works. So that is matching up. And we extended our CAS setup. Remember, I showed you the slide where you have multiple server environment, where you actually can use a program called CASabit within surveillance to attach a satellite to a CAS server. And we actually extended that module as well to either delete or remove entities or do certain tricks with the setup. Okay, so those two programs are changes on the background, have more commands in there. Of course, we can do, there are more changes and we can go in more detail later on. So this is all about the changes. Okay, I just want to make sure that you know that that is available. We are up for a live demo. The logo will change next time, Yves. I didn't get to the PowerPoint on time. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I will go into a live demo. We are still a bit on time. Okay, so let me close this one and let me go back to a live demo. What you see over here, I hope everybody can see my screen. This is the major login screen of surveillance. The login and username and password, I like to emphasize this right up front, is either correlated to our own security on our server, or you can match it with Ldap or Ldap at the moment. So if you have an Active Directory or Ldap structure and you want to bind your users to surveillance, we actually authenticate against your Ldap environment or Ldap S environment. Okay. Something else, so you can use username and password of ours, or you can use Ldap driven. Let me show it you over here, down below here. This is more for the people who are used to the product. As of version 5, you are in need by default on having TLS on our agent and on our web. Just to tell you, that is turned off by default. Okay. Now, if I log in over here, and I'm using a password. Okay, you will notice something has been changed. So the people have not seen the product yet, but for the people who are basically used to the product, they get directly into a tab, a navigation tab, which shows you all the entities, right? Okay, this was the old way of viewing, where you see everything by server, and this is the way we do now at the moment. We just open it by entity. It makes sense because a lot of people know their database by name, or they know their environment by name. What is nice to see over here, notice on the side, I'm running AEC. So I have two AECs running over here. I have a replication server, I have IQ, I have SQL Server, I have a HANA environment, I have a database running on SUSE, I have Orca running over here. I could have running PostgreSQL and whatever here as well, and I will show you in 5x the MONGO part, okay? Because that is switched between two versions, so I will show you that one as well. Now, you can go here and you say, I just want to see send, and you see everything is related to send, or you can type a name over here, so you can just search and narrow down the information you want to see. The same goes on the server part as well, okay? Now, this is very, very handy to start working with the product and basically be focused on the service you want. Because if a problem occurs, you want to be as quick as possible to the instance where the problem arises, right? Okay. Now, as I mentioned to you, we have a customer running with thousands of servers. If you would have a list with 1,000 servers, then it would be quite challenging to get there on to the particular server. So you just go ahead and just type a search or figure that one out. Okay. If I navigate, so let me remove the filter for a moment. Let me show you first what we show. Okay, so if I click on Sybase over here, you will see instantly that I start providing real-time information, right? Okay, as we are used for Sybase, okay, I can click on processes if I want to see a process. Okay, I will click on that, or I can see a server health on Sybase. It will show me the server health information on that one. Okay, directly instance. I can go from there and see a lot of information more. And Sybase, we are showing tons of things. Okay, so we show you processes, logs, block processes, the current statement, open transactions, database, database over here. Let me push in that one, where we actually split that between OldDB and TempDB, that kind of information. We show you transaction log usage. We show you cache activity, spin log activity, tons of things on Sybase AZ. Okay, so AZ covers a lot of views over here. If I go to Replication Server, it's quite nice if you click on the screen over here and you have instant view on what's happening on your replication server. Okay, so you know instantly what's my replication doing. Do I have successful tracks? What are the status over here? I can go into processes. I can do partition space utilization, warm standby, exception transactions. Very powerful. Okay, where you can actually click on that one and basically see what happened there. You get your exception text or SQL text or whatever. You can click on that, copy that. Notice over here, this is completely new. Okay, so I can actually format the way data looks. I can do this with exception text, with SQL text or whatever. It's just something which is very neat for you to start working or get your things highlighted. This is completely new to the client since last week. Okay, I can connect to IQ. So if I click on connection to IQ, remember, I'm still in the same interface. Okay, I'm still using the same platform, same installation, same kind. It's regardless of any version. Okay, I'm running a mix of 16. I'm running a mix of Oracle versions. I'm running. It's completely a mix of versions, and you still are able to see that. If I want to switch to Windows, I can do this on Windows as well. So I can see my processes on Microsoft SQL Server if I wish. Nice thing about SQL Server is, and this is something we're adding more and more and more, as I mentioned also in these slides, okay, on the announcements. We have it by active, by waiting, by database, or by login. So I can actually say, well, you know, I'm not interested in everything. Give me only the user ones, right? Okay. So I can do way more being focused on what I need, right? Okay. That is the whole upshot of surveillance. Get you as quick as possible to the information you want to see, either real time or in history. I can connect to SAP HANA. Okay, so if I click on that one over here, and I go check on connections, I will be able to see the connections. I can see my server health over here. Okay, this is, by the way, HANA in AWS, right? Okay. So this is regardless. So this is a HANA instance running in the cloud, but you're using our product installed on my server, connecting to that. Okay. So you connect to that. You see column. The overview in HANA is nice. So you see the top column store. You see the top SQL, the operations over here, the volumes. You can, of course, store. You can see those kind of things are getting important. Okay, where you see what kind of stores are actually loaded. Are they partially loaded? How long are they loaded? That kind of information is all available for you. Okay, including with connections, current executed statements. So if I wish to see what's executing now at the moment. Okay. So I can check on that. I can see my open transactions, my operation in progress, my logs, my volume space, my disk utilization, my column store tables if I wish to see them. Okay. So that, and of course I can sort them and check them out in whatever I want. Okay. Remember, this is live. Okay. I'm not tweaking. I'm not playing around. I'm just showing you real life. I'm connecting to it. It's there. Okay. Yeah. And I could do the same thing for Oracle as well. Just hit basically a session window on Oracle. And I get my sessions on Oracle, okay? Or I get my block sessions or my global information, okay? On some parts of the product, okay, we already have included some history screens in the views itself. So if I click, for example, on the global window over here, okay, and I would click on CPU utilization, I already see the last 8 hours what kind of CPU utilizations I had. Okay, that is instantly back. Yeah. So far for real-time monitoring. Okay, so for to showing you basically what's happening on that level. Okay, I like to be what I'm going to do now at the moment. I'm going to show you a bit more how we fit into incidents, and then go from there and dig into a bit more into the product. Okay, now I noticed over here I have basically 3 warnings running on the server, right? Okay. And I was working with that session, so I think I have somewhere something which is nagging me. And of course, I have a block session over here. If I click on that, it will actually show me the information on the blocking itself. Now, that kind of information that is on block processes. Okay, so I can see the detail on the right side. I could actually kill the information and go there and basically see basically what the situation goes away. I can do that. I can go more in detail, so I can click on the process window as well. And let me go for the mix. And I know basically over here I have the same information, right? Now notice over here something I wanted to show you. If I go right and scroll right, I still see. Remember, I called about sticky columns over here. I want to be concentrated on the main focus. Those columns are frozen on the front. So the split ID, the login, and program name. We have done this with most of the views which are having such kind of information in the front. We have added those sticky columns already for you. Okay. So now you can scroll right, and you can correlate all the information we have on that particular login or split. Okay, and you can go back to the right. Okay, so that for example is if you are looking forward to just first of all filter, but also to still have the correct information. Now something else we do over here, we allow you now to switch the columns. So if you want to have a column which goes completely to this side, you want to move it the other side to right, you can just move them around. Was not possible, you can make the information bigger. So if you go over here and you go to the right, you can just go and make your column smaller and bigger. Also something which is new. As I pointed out, this is a crucial part which is added as well, where you can actually go view your information in a different way. Okay, just to show you that. Now, of course, I can see the alerts now by the entities. I can watch them over here, and I can see the alerts, of course, in the dashboard. Okay, which shows me basically everything which is open since. Right? And I can switch between real time and between the entities like I wish myself. Notice that on the alert tab, we have more information about the incident. So here I would have known that it's a blocking. What we will add in a short while is having information coming out of this. So the message part or the incident ID will also appear here in the batches. That is something we're going to do. Will be probably there next week. Okay. That is on the incident part. Okay, so we have that fully set up. If you think you have to do this all by yourself, no. We can actually go, if you go to this server, for example, and I go to my Sybase, I see here all my standard rules, which are basically part of the systematic to get basically information. So those are factory rules, which you actually tweak on or tweak off. So if I click on, so if you go, for example, for log percentage, click on that one, I can tweak them on, tweak them off. I can just manipulate whatever I like, okay, and I can set it up. This is out of the box. So by default, we will turn the most important for you on, okay? But you can manage it by yourself and just whatever you want to be warned for or you want to have a message for, it's just a matter of turning it on. This is valid for all our database types we are supporting. This is not only unique to Sybase, this goes for Oracle, this goes for IQ, this goes for MONGO, this goes for all of those. Same with the stores, okay? If you want to see what kind of information we're storing, you actually have the standard stores. So this is all kind of information we're storing. Remember, I told you, you can keep the database, the data as long as you wish on the local stores. Here you can actually say, this is the retaining period where you're running on, okay? So this will allow, and you are free to set that interval. So if you wish to keep it as a month or a year, it's all depending on the space you have, or if you want to transfer to the repository, also okay. But it's you who is in charge of the time you maintain the data. This is crucial to know if you go to any HANA monitoring, because there is basically kept for a couple of days and not a couple of weeks or whatever. Same for MONGO, same for other kind of databases. They're all restricted to the time you collect the data. Okay, we are not. You're completely free in that. Okay. Now that is in terms of what you see. So I showed you some of the enhancements on the front end. Let me show you some things which you can do with the flashback. Okay. Now this was all current information, more or less. Okay, this was nothing in the history at all. Now, if I go to this particular server over here and I go into the recent history, I can actually check what was happening yesterday at a particular time, and let me take a range of information coming out of that one. Okay. If I click on this and I say yesterday, I want to have the information from 9:50. I take just a range, right? Okay, from the 6th, and I want to have that information from the 9/6 over here to 10:50. Same date. So I hit OK, and now I see I have a bulk. So I see a CPU peak over here. Okay, this is history data. Okay, this is going back to the flat files again. As long as you keep the data over there, you will see those things back. And now I can see basically, oh, as a CPU, so I'm interested in CPU only. So if I click on that one, I actually instantly find the statement which actually goes ahead and gives me that information, right? Okay, where I can just make sure that it's looking nice for me. So I just can see the text nice. I can see my summaries. This is history. I can just load my plans. Okay, go back. And I can load my plan, and the same thing, I can just watch my plan back. If it's a bit too short on the screen, I can just see my plan, right? History. I can view it in different ways, okay? So I can view it by range, I can view it by the recent statement, I can view the SQL hit for a particular database. I have operational auditing and compliance auditing. Basically, both things, if I click on those, I'm not going to start it because we are a bit short on time, but I can select a period of time and I can see in a small period of time which SQL has been executed with some more detail on the start time, on the rows affected, those kind of things. And for auditing, if I want to have a quick view on it, okay, not yet in the repository, I can also do compliance auditing from here if I want to see certain data. Now, auditing data is maybe a bit too large to keep for a long time locally, so we tend to store forward to the repository where you can digest them there. Okay, I can I can do the same kind of report by top SQL over days, so it will give you basically everything related over a period of time, and it will show you basically the statements on elapsed time, CPU time, wait time. That's different kind of ways of viewing that. Okay, I can do this for all the environments. So if I go back to my HANA cloud, for example, go over here, and I would go to HANA, and I click on that one. I can do a recent history. Same approach. Okay, go back and see it. Yeah. So that is ways to get the information more in detail. And of course, I can do the same with flashback. So if I want to have more granularity, if I'm interested in more information, I can click on, for example, this one over here, click on processes. And if I go back over here to yesterday, and I go back to 9:58. And is this the correct server? Nope, this is the wrong server. Sorry for that. I have to go over here, and this was the example which was taken for you, processes. And I go back to this time 9:58. Keeps it that way. Okay, and I go to MX. Is that the correct one? I hope. Okay, that was not the correct server for taking wrong example, but I could flash back to a particular time as well, if you wish, and go there and just show you the information there as well. Now, I missed 2 points of it, which I like to address, and then I'm finished with the demo for now. I showed you most of the parts of it, okay? If I go back to the SLA or entity reporting or that kind of stuff, you actually can go ahead and you can run some reports from here. So in my recent history, I'm able to run an entity uptime. So if I want to see how was the uptime of all my entities since well yesterday over there, since yesterday, so since yesterday and I want to see it from 1600 hours. So you can choose your own time frame for that. Okay, till now. And if I hit OK, you actually see that I'm showing you now an entity report. Notice that what is nice, I can actually click on create PDF of that, and you can send it right away to your manager. Okay, so just before the meeting, well, we had HANA down over there, so my HANA was down. But you see all my entities, which are reflected back to the tree over here, are coming back over here and saying, okay, those entities, what is the uptime? So all the other ones were up all day, okay, except of my HANA, I was down, which is nice to know, right? Okay, I can do this by server, or I can do this by entity. And it comes out of the box. You don't have to do anything for that. It's just there, okay? It will allow you to see those kind of things. Then the other side, let me show you that. The last thing over here. We have, of course, we can access the repository to actually see what did happen in the history, but now based on a database, right? Okay. If I click on the central repository, first of all, we allow you to see basically what kind of data has been stored. This is in the product for quite a while, but for those who don't know, you just can view all the tables. So you can actually go down, you see how big is my data, what is the percentages, and how big they are. So it's there for you to know, okay? We love you to show what we collect and how it looks like, right? If I go back to agent views, now you could run a report based on AC or Oracle or SQL Server. Notice the compliance auditing. So you can run a compliance auditing report from here, okay? Which will go ahead and will just connect to the database and then go from there. And you can take a time range and you can search for login or that kind of stuff if you wish. Or you can go by a global statistics report, for example. And you want to see basically what is happening on your server. So if I'm interested in a particular server, just want to see this quickly. Okay, I'm going to take this one, and I want to see this from, for example, yesterday, and just yesterday from that time to 6. Yes, go. And then I can choose, see the data is already there. And now I have a report, okay? I can just run my report from here and then say, okay, I want to save this away. I want to have this as a PDF. You create a PDF, you send it to your manager, okay? That is the way surveillance work. So I did try to show you a combination between everything we show, everything which is related to that, plus the reporting and that kind of things. Okay, so that is something which I'll attempt to show you. I'm not sure if we're running really out of time, but I would have loved to show you the MONGO part, okay, and 5x, okay. But let me finish up with talking, because I think Ed has the last 2 slides to go. So Eve has 2 slides to go to get over to you, and then go from there to questions and answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cohen. Before we move to the last couple of slides about the success stories, there are some questions. I think I identified around 8 questions. I will go through them quickly with you, and you can address them openly. It's better. Now, one of the statements mentioned that the root cause of the problem, how we can help us to determine the root cause of the problem.
Root cause of the problem happens basically if you first of all, it will start with alerts, right? Okay. So we can report on anything. So we can report any kind of incidents which is happening. So if you're running out of space, or you're running out of logs, or if you're running out of any kind of situation, okay, call it a situation. Don't call it an incident, right? It's a situation which is happening. We can warn you on that, okay? So if you go from there, you will notice that basically on this particular, so if you go into the product, and right away, you will notice that this one is impacted, right? Okay. So if I click on that one, I can remember, so you have the alert tab over here and you have the incident over there. We are going to add the type of incidents to this. So this will start telling you have blocked, or you have space issues, or you have whatever. So then you can click on that, okay, and you can just go to block processes, and you see instantly you have a block process, or you have a space utilization, or you have any kind of situation you want to be warned of. Okay.
And then you can drill down and you can see the code.
Yeah, of course, because now you have Exactly, because now you have the information. You can see the plan, you can see the details, you can see the procedure stacks. Okay, so if they are there,
and if it was something historical, say yesterday we have the system down, then we have to go back to the flashback and use the same thing, but using the flashback data.
Exactly. Yeah, or you can go to the recent history. Both ways.
Second question is about when you store the history, do you need a separate database, or you on the operating system file, or you can store the data inside a normal database that is being monitored?
Okay, well, the answer is two-way street. By default, the product doesn't need any kind of centralized database to start storing information. Okay, so if you install the product and you want to start collecting data, we don't force you to set up a repository right away. Okay, if you want to use that information, as I showed you in a report for global CPU or for auditing or whatever, and you have massive data, you can store that information into AZ, you can put it into SQL Server, you can put it into Oracle, you can put it into any kind of SQL related database. Okay.
So it has both options, either flat files if it is less data, if it's more data and you need to analyze them later on, you can use any existing database that is support SQL. Or being monitored.
Well, see, if you, okay, this is something which will a database administrator understand. If you collect monitoring data, you never put this into a database which is monitored by the surveillance itself. Okay, you put it in a centralized database where all the monitoring data comes in. Because you remember the monitoring is there for production, to capture the data, those kind of things, but you could use any database. But
yeah, it depends. If they are monitoring multiple servers, then it's better to have a dedicated server for that.
Exactly.
If it is one server, maybe you can create a few tables on the same, or another database on the same instance.
Exactly.
The third question, the performance expected, the impact on the monitored database, because when you want to extract data from a monitored database to be analyzed or to see, we should expect a performance impact on the monitored database, on the production database. What do you think the performance could be?
Good question. Very good question. Okay.
I think there's 2-3 questions on the same.
Yeah, no problems. Okay. 2 questions. Two answers. An answer to that. Okay. So if I click on this one over here. If you wish to see what our impact is on your AEC, we provide the collection statistics and the performance we are using on AEC. Okay, so first of all, we show you really what our impact is on AEC or any environment. HANA, doesn't matter which one. Okay, so you can actually see how much time our collections or one of our collections is actually causing. You can do this by entity, you can do this by collection, by attachment, or even we have store statistics as well. Okay, showing you how many time or how much time we're using in general for our collection itself. So this is for you if you really want to check it in detail. If you use the product out of the box, our collections are tuned in a way that it will not add more than 2% load on your initial server. Okay, so the out-of-the-box stores are optimized in a way, so the factory stores, right? Okay, are optimized in a way that it actually doesn't take more, in average, okay, about 2% of your load on your data server or your system. That's it.
Okay. Another question about Sybase database, ASE. When you read the statistics, etc., do you rely on the monitor tables that is part of the solution? You have SQL monitor.
Only.
Okay,
yeah.
So you take them for Sybase. You take them from the monitor.
Yeah, it's all MDA table based. Okay.
Okay, MDA tables based. Now another question about the agent. Do we need to install agent for each monitor database on next to the database, or where it should be installed? Can be installed only on the server where SQL, where Bradmark is installed, or it has to be next to the database?
There's a two-way answer to that. Okay, there is no restriction how you want to connect to your database. So you can either use a single host connecting to multiple ACs or multiple environments or multiple databases. You could have, in theory, a single installation of surveillance connecting to all kinds of data servers, as long as the client of a particular database server is available on that box. So if I have one box with Oracle client, with Sybase client, with SQL Server client, with all the clients available so that they can connect to a data server, you can have a single server connecting to all of those environments. Okay.
So the agent is depending on the client access of the database. If it is on the server, then you don't need. So you install Sybase Open Client or Oracle client on the same server, and then the agent will connect to Open Client.
The agent will always connect to a client version or ODBC. Okay, there are some tools where we use ODBC connection. Okay.
Okay. Another question: can we input custom monitoring queries for custom views or properties? Can we customize the query?
Very nice question. Okay, this is something to the audience itself. Okay. I know that we did this for the Middle East. I'm doing this for some customers in Europe, where we actually customize the views. Okay, so if I go back to views, what you noticed over here, if I click on Sybase, I go to views over here. I have a process view or a block process, or I have I can choose whatever I like to see in one of the data servers. Right? You can actually create your own kind of view if you wish. Okay. You will do that based on our collection first. Okay, so we have factory collections, but if you wish to collect something which we are not collecting already, you can write your own collection as well. So the answer is yes. We can create any kind of view on top of the infrastructure, which shows you instantly, basically, how to correlate information all together. Okay.
Okay, we need to go fast because now the questions are increasing. So regarding the query detail will work only when pros is not hidden in Sybase. Pros, P-R-O-S-C, proceed.
If the procedure, we do more of that. Okay, so the question is basically, if you hit a procedure, sometimes you will see only a part of the procedure, right? Okay, and not full information on the SQL text. Now there are. First of all, we are going to take this. We're going to take a different approach for store procedures later on. But we do have also in AAC recent executed statements, which gives you an overview on all the statements where you can sort on a procedure. So there you will see the complete statement. So one of our customers used particularly this one over here, okay, to go and just take a particular SQL text or a particular procedure and go from there. Okay.
Okay. So another question. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Another question is how to identify the queries that considered bad or not properly functioning that cause the CPU utilization or the default data cache or the spike. I think in the graph you have seen that the process.
So basically we have multiple ways of doing that. Yeah, so we have a top SQL, we have an SQL over here.
So go for the top SQL, maybe it's easier because the top question is top SQL.
So if you go back over here,
yes.
And I go back over here to the 6 and hit go.
So by using the history, then you can see the last 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever, what are the queries that has been used maximum.
Yeah, and then you go by CPU time, by wait time, by logical reads, or by physical reads. Okay, that kind of things you can do. I know that yesterday we had some blocking over here, so you can go by there. You see the information. See that is all coming back. So you see the information back on the SQL as well. Okay. And then you can go by CPU time, by wait time, that kind of things. Okay.
Okay. Another question about the load, which I think it was addressed. Alerting using email or SMS or something.
Yeah.
How you can set an alert, because if I want the system to monitor 24/7 and the DBA should not be present all the time, but he should get something, notification about something going wrong.
Yeah, so basically we can alert on anything. Okay, so out of the box, we can do email, we can do SMS, we can SMS provided, but you need to have an SMS carrier, right? Otherwise it won't work, right? Okay, but you can do SMS, you can do you can write your own scripts, so it can execute scripts based on events. It can do anything. So and you can also choose when it needs to be happened and on which conditions it should be. Okay.
So in fact, we set the threshold that need to be monitored. When exceed the threshold or when they reach that meet that condition, the alert engine will be activated and will send the notification by email or by. So there is a setup need to be done during the configuration of the system, which email to be used, etc.
Exactly.
Another questions about the temp DB. It is very common. Someone do a wrong query that fill up the temp DB, then the whole system may be on hold. How we can identify or I can identify immediately those queries that are losing control and filling all the temp DB space?
Yeah, first of all, of course, you can go to your TempDB set. So we have database settings where you can check on databases. So if you go over here, you can see the space used and log space used and that kind of things. Okay, where you can go ahead and basically figure out what's going on over there. Together with that, you can also see the load index statistics, so that you are able to see basically maybe it's due to a bad index or something like that. So it's available there as well. Of course, on everything which has happened. So if you want to monitor on space, so it starts basically with monitoring the log space and TempDB or whatever. And basically what you do is you go to Sybase, and by default on the rules, you have some rules which basically go ahead and will check on the log critical log 1, correct? Okay.
Okay. So you built a new rule for it to be monitored.
You don't have to build it. You don't have to build it. You just turn it on. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. And then it will just say to you, this bit or this particular process or this particular thing is filling up TempDB.
Okay. Another question about the agent. Each time you want to add an agent or add the database, do you need to start the database to be monitored, or it can connect? It's not linked, so you can install the Bradmark, install the engine, connect to new database without restarting neither the engine of Bradmark nor the database that will be monitored.
Okay, good question. In theory, you never have to stop any data server when starting with surveillance. Okay, in theory, you don't. Most of the databases, so I think there are some exceptions. Okay, and that's depending on what is static and what requires a restart in terms of configuration, yes or no. Okay, so this is not related to surveillance, it's related to AEC, for example. Okay, so on AEC, some of the configuration setting for monitor tables are
like
static.
The MDA table need to be enabled.
But it needs to be enabled,
yes,
to be captured. But SQL text, for example, needs a restart of AEC because that's part of the AEC setting. Not of we don't force you to do so, but yes. AEC will force you to do so. So if it's a static parameter, then we are not other than the other ones. But by default, you can just choose if you want to do that or not. So if you choose not at that moment, you can go install surveillance without doing any restart of any data server.
Okay. And another interesting question is about if Bradmark will be used as an agent for ITRS Generous or SolarWinds. I know that this can connect to HP and IBM, Tivoli, etc. But I'm not aware of ITRS Genius and SolarWinds.
Okay, this is a item where there are multiple ways of doing this. Okay, so the easy answer is we can send an SNMP trap, which can be picked up by any of those. Okay, so you can send an SNMP trap, and that will just be sending our incident information to those environments. You can use, if those tools are having a local agent or a local kind of process running, then we can send information to that local process. Okay, that's a possibility. We have the surveillance alert. The alert agent is a standalone agent, so to speak. Okay, so you could install our alerter agent without any of the rest. So just copy the binaries to any server, and you can actually call that program from a script running over there, and then you can pass any kind of information backwards to us as well. So it can go forward and backwards, if you wish. So the answer is yes. We don't have a native integration into those environments, but we can at least get the incidents into there. Yes.
Okay. Another question is how to identify a query that it is very slow and how to improve it. I think very slow. We don't know if it is very slow unless you know but we know how much it's consuming, and you define the DBA should define if it's slow or not. We only compare to the previous one. That's it. Correct.
Correct. There are two things to that. Okay, so let me give the answer
quickly.
again,
because we 30 seconds per question.
Okay, hang on. The quick answer is basically, if you want to find those SQL, you use the history, right? Okay, that's the first thing. The second information, that is something we are going to build in, as that is something which was requested. At the moment, you have to tap through. So if I want to correlate certain queries from one environment, from one time spot to the other time spot, I have to use tabs to switch in between. Okay. In the near future, we will have basically a single view where you can just match whatever you like to match with other time frames, and then you can see basically how was this query performing on this environment, how was it that performant, why was the same query running on this with more CPU. So that is what we're going to create. But at the moment, it's still in all the SQL, so it's all by range time, by SQL. So you can.
Another question about Oracle RAC.
Yes,
there is an always on option. Can we monitor it to see if it is how much it was active and if it is inactive to be alerted?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We have Oracle RAC supported out of the box.
Okay. Another question about Microsoft SQL replication, SQL Server replication, because Sybase replication is covered by, but SQL Server replication, log shipment or mirroring, is it supported?
I will show you something. So remember on the.
No, don't show us if it is yes or no. Maybe it's use time.
And
I trust you, and I believe most of the team, they will. All the team, they will trust you already.
Okay, cool. Okay. Then basically, the answer is we will have a replication screen as we have for AEC, as we have for MONGO for SQL Server as well. Okay, it's in the build.
Okay.
It's not in the current build, but it will be there.
Okay, another question about the cost, the licensing model. The license is sold per core, monitored core. The database monitored core means if you are monitoring Oracle 6 cores and Sybase 4 cores, then you need to buy 4 cores for Sybase and 6 cores for Oracle. Not on the database where Bradmark is installed. So it is sold per monitored database cores. Okay. Another question is about, ITRS, I think it was answered. What are the permission and roles required for the monitoring account?
Okay, good news. Okay. We will have for AEC at the moment, but it is already there for HANA. It is there for SQL Server already. We will have we already have the patch ready. So in the next release, it will be included. We will have a less privileged user for AEC within the next week available in the running version. Okay, so I'm running already a patch for that, which basically there was a request from a customer where the SA example on Sybase, the SA role is something where people really have an issue with, right? Okay, so we are going to create a user which is basically already there. So again, it's a patch there where where you can create like SAP HANA in the cloud, a cust as a role. So you create a specific role, which is quite common there in that region. So you're not SA, you're running a cust as a role, and we're obliged to that. So that basically allows you to have a less privileged user and still get all the information. So that is already there. It's not yet current in the build itself. So if you install it, you need to be patching the server to get it running, but it's already there.
Okay, and last question is about the licensing for the DR. Usually, if I am licensed for the production and the same instance, whenever the system switch to the DR, we can switch the connection. You don't have to license as long as it is the same number of CPUs running on the production and on the DR, and it is not used in simultaneously. You connect to production and DR at the same time. So you can monitor only production, and if this production is down for a reason, and you switch to the R for during some testing or monitoring or rotation for compliance, then the same system, it can connect there. So there is no extra. I believe this is the last question. Thank you, Cohen, for your quick answers. We still have a couple of slides about a couple of success stories.
I give up my screen, so I'm giving back to you, Yves.
Yes. So I can move to my screen now to see the last couple of slides about those. Thank you. This is a demo, live demo that has been done. I have selected a few success stories or use case, we call them, from the region, means customers using the systems in the Middle East, in the Gulf. We have multiple scenarios. One is a large organization has invested a lot of money in building a large enterprise monitoring solution to control everything, applications, connection, network, etc. And when they started monitoring the databases, mainly it was Sybase database, they failed to get lowest detail. It was only the system up or not, total consumption, total utilization, but they couldn't identify which processes, when, and the users, the disk space, etc. It wasn't possible. So when we introduced Bradmark, it was 7-8 years ago, even maybe more than that, they liked the solution, and the Bradmark now became the agent that feed the system. So they can use either Bradmark directly for the drill down, and Bradmark, it works as an agent for, I think they are using HP, they're using, I think, IBM Tivoli in that case, in the case we are talking about, and they are feeding the data, and all the data are appearing inside IBM Tivoli. Another bank, they are running core banking system, and they are suffering from zombie processes. It's a process that has been launched and it lost its roots. So, and then it lost control. And usually for the DBA, they understand that if the terminology of zombie processes, when you try to kill it, it will not be killed. The only option is to reboot the server. And this is, if it is repeated, it starts consuming memory and consuming RAM and resources from the server. And then it causes the system to go down if it is not resolved within a few times. So it happened multiple times, I think 4 or 5 times, and every time it ended up by shutting down the server and rebooting, and there is 1 to 2 hours downtime. And finally, we proposed to them, why you don't try to install Bradmark and keep the monitoring, which was done this way, and we kept the history of the processes happen. And then when zombie was identified, and then we immediately went to the flashback to identify at the time that the process was launched, and then we identified the application that launched this this SQL, and we get the query plan, and then the vendor already went into the details, and we identified the cause, and then they fixed it. And since that time, they never seen a zombie processes happen in that bank. Another bank, they have an issue in replication threads, and they want to ensure that they have some kind of SLA, that the latency of the replicated data should be less than few seconds. And if there's a very critical system, very critical information, and they are using Bradmark to monitor all the data and the data of the replication threads, to monitor all the data transfer between that are reaching the destination. And they have monitored, they are set some threshold to highlight whenever it exceeds the expected time frame. It could be from the network, or it could be from the destination, or it could be from anything, and to interfere immediately and fix it. Another bank, they don't have too much activity in the evening, so they want to reduce the time coverage by their DBAs. So they said, okay, after a certain time, the activity is very limited to some transactions. We don't want to keep a DBA. However, let someone monitor the system. And then we proposed Bradmark, and Bradmark is monitored 24/7, and they monitored, or they configured all the necessary threshold. And whenever something is fishy or about to happen, and then an SMS will be reaching the DBA who is at home or but is not available in the bank to comment. And as I mentioned, it is not an application that is very critical. It's not a core banking system. It's another application that it is not used too much. And then this solution saved them by not having the night shift by their DBA. Last one, a business case, like any normal case, a bank release a tender and they want to get for monitoring, and we participated along with 2-3 competitors, similar products, and finally they selected one solution, and they get this solution, but it was not Bradmark, it is competitor product, and they wanted to monitor the system after doing a major upgrade of the application and of the database. Since it was Sybase database, it was under our maintenance, and after they finished the migration of the solution and the database, the system was extremely slow. And they suffered for 1 week, 10 days, and they are unable to identify the cause of this. Every time a new query is run, it is slow. And they used that tool to monitor, they couldn't help them. And then our team, along with Cohen, was part of the team. We proposed to the bank why we don't try Bradmark to see, and they accepted. We gave them a license. It has been installed and configured in 2 days, and then we start monitoring, and 2 days later we were able to capture most of the queries that causing most of the problems. And by reading, our team read the query plan, and they identified the indexes to be used. It's not using the proper index, or the query plan has been changed, and it was done between when they shift from 15 to 16. They kept the same SQL query. They didn't do proper testing from the application sides. Store procedures and some indexes need to be changed. So we helped them, and 1 week later, the system became very smooth as planned. And then the bank decided to buy Bradmark and keep the Bradmark and to be used because it is proven. The message here is it doesn't matter whatever you select, you will not find a better solution than Bradmark. Then why to wait to go for the difficult part, the hard way? So then if you have such situation, it's worse to do a POC that it can be done in few days only. Check the database, check the Bradmark, and it will not take more hours or a couple of days to be convinced that the Bradmark features is really unmatchable by any similar products available in the market. This is the last slides. For any questions you may have additional, you can contact me directly, or you can contact Cohen. You can see this his email and my email there, and then we will be pleased to contact you and address them.
Thank you very much, Yves. Well done. Super.
Even Cohen, we just have 2 questions. One is in the Q&A, if you can just address that, and then one is in the chat box, please.
Okay.
Okay, so I see one in the Q&A. Does the history hold block locking information in Sybase? Yes. Yeah, of course. By default, we have basically everything which has to do with blocking or holds or locks are default stores. And first of all, we collected information, we show you the information while it's happening. And if you want to see it back in time, you are able to basically correlate that also with a blocking situation. So you see full blocking information back in Sybase. Okay. So yes, that is covered completely.
Okay, so I think this is the last question we have. I think we are on time, and I want to thank all the people that the team that has joined us today. Thank you, Cohen, for your valuable information that has been shared with all of us. The session is already recorded, and we will see later on if how we can share the sessions that can be viewed later on by the attendees or those that they were unable to attend. Finally, I believe, thank you for, I will apologize for the first few minutes delay to start on time. So we started 3-4 minutes late, and I will need to apologize for that. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for your attention, and MDS, super well done, the presentation, super cool.
Thank you so much. And I see 2 questions. One is from Amit Bajaj. Amit, yes. We will reply back to you for the ASE replication server. Can we initiate a failover and failback? We'll reply back to you. And from Rama Rao saying that unfortunately your Abu Dhabi and Bahrain team couldn't attend the demo, and can we have another separate session? We will revert back to you on email. Okay.
Correct.
Cool. Thank you everybody for this session. Thanks a lot to Eve and Cohen, and thank you all the attendees for attending the session and making it a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.